Um, Hello, Iole. I have not met you face to face yet, but hello. I'm Joan Depper. I'm one of the program presenters, and it's nice to meet you, at least on screen. Um, so for everybody that tuned in a little bit late, myself included, Iole was born in Abruzzo, moved to Rome as a young child, and skipping ahead a little bit, she holds master's degrees both from the University La Sapienza in Rome and also one from the University of Washington. She is a licensed architect in Italy in the Lazio region. She is a teacher at Bellevue College. She is the recipient of numerous awards and fellowships. One of those awards, which she will tell us about, is enabled her to be one of the participants in the Migration Project. The Migration Project was an international exhibit bringing together 10 artists from Seattle and Italy, which took place in Perugia in 2022. It was sponsored in part by the Dante Alighieri Society. So we are looking forward to hearing from her about that. She's also going to tell us about her use of laser plane photography and her journey in the Arctic Circle. So I would like to let you have the floor now, Iole. Thank you very much for presenting to us.
Absolutely. What a pleasure. One of the things that I wanted to share about Dante Alighieri Society is that when I came here in 1994, of course, I was speaking in English, but of course it was just at the beginning of a long journey, and I started actually allowing myself to pay my tuitions at the University of Washington because I was teaching Italian, and with that opportunity and that learning, I was able to offer a few classes, Italian classes at Dante Alighieri Society. So I worked with the Dante Alighieri Society, and I feel very honored to have done that. My Italian, and both written and spoken, is much better because of that. So that was, it's amazing. I always say to my students, there is nothing better than teaching something to finally learn it. So, but without further ado, I'd like to introduce you this project for today with a little bit of another project that as I was introduced by John before, is the Migration Project. This is the picture of my journey to the Arctic. And what you're looking at is an image of the sun at noon around the first week of October. And what it looks like, the moon on the other side next to the tall ship, is not actually the moon. It is a reflection from the lens of my camera. But it looks like a very lunar environment, which somebody at the beginning of this introduction mentioned. It was almost like going to the moon. I didn't bring with me the oxygen because we do have our oxygen in the Arctic, but everything else felt like to be prepared for such a unique environment. So here is the project of the migration project that I did in Italy in 2022. And I want to really thank the Dante Alighieri Society for allowing me, and not only myself, also the other artists with me and the curator, to do this project in Perugia, which was organized by the Seattle Perugia Sister City Association. And it was at Palazzo della Penna in 2022. Carlo Ponti was the curator, and we had a total of 10 artists, 5 artists from Seattle, that are over there. You can actually read them in the caption, and 5 artists from Perugia. So the idea was to put together a number of artists who had never worked together before on this idea of migration of ideas, migrations of thoughts, and as well as a physical migration, because in fact, especially the 5 artists from Seattle migrated temporarily to Perugia to meet with these other artists and see what people do when stimulated on this idea of moving. In my project, which is the one that I'm showing you, however, we end up publishing a beautiful catalog, which is here, as you can see. Contains all the works done by the artists that have and participated in the exhibition. And I'm happy to share this catalog with you as well. And I'm sure that the Seattle Perugia Sister City Association has copies, and this is available. My project had to do with this with the city itself, and with a special room, which is the room, la sala affrescata, the frescoed room. As you can see, the walls of this beautiful room are frescoed with imaginary landscapes. This to me was the second time that, and the first time in a way, the first time with this blue laser, and the second time I did another exhibition with the laser inside a building, with the intent of actually revealing the space of the building to create a symbiotic relationship that actually develops into a contrast, in this case, between the subtractive nature of the pigments in the wall and the additive nature of the wavelengths of light in the laser. And this is the combination of the two is something that is so strikingly apparent in these photographs, because it shows, in fact, two different natures of color and light. In this case, my work, this is I'm going to show you the city of Perugia, and you are looking at the Palazzo della Penna here, this entire conglomerate of buildings. It used to be owned by a private family, noble, and then in the turn of the century, it was donated to the municipality, which turned it into a museum for public use, which is probably one of the best things that we can say about many things happening in Italy like that. By the way, are there people who have been to Perugia in this group? Yeah, I can see Nick's hand. It's only the only hand that I can see. And lots of other people. I don't know where are in the thing. But Perugia is an ancient city, and it's a hill town. And from the moment in which you arrive at the train station, you are always either going up or down, up or down. Rarely you find a horizontal surface. It's a totally hill town. The room that the entry of the building is this beautiful has this beautiful portal, and we were honored that at the same time that we had the migration exhibition, there was an exhibition of photos of frescoes by Raffaello Sanzio, the Renaissance artist. And this is the room that I exhibited in my work. I have taken that picture in particular because of the light. the light is entering through these narrow slits left open to allow the light to enter almost like a plane. And when I was a little kid, this is the kind of things that I used to play with, playing with the rays of the sun entering through the windows. You can tell that in this particular case, Perugia has a certain amount of dust in the air, because without that, you would never be able to see light. Light can be seen directly from the source. Otherwise, right? Where is or reflected from an object, which is what makes us, in fact, capable of seeing. But in this case, we actually see the shape of light because the light hits these particles of dust, which reflect light into our eyes. And therefore, we see this beautiful shape of a plane. So I took that picture to really connect to this to my project, which are planes of light that intersects the space and that people traverse. So this is a person inside the room. And the idea for the migration project is that there are no boundaries that are placed in front of people that people cannot traverse. And that's, to me, is a form of invitation for people, in fact, to move beyond any barriers. And the ability, in fact, of this luminous boundaries that this project provides is this idea of not fear nothing, but be able to move without obstructions to anything that allows you to move through. And these are this is the space with this intangible boundaries. Very beautiful. And this is another picture that I called holograms. So those are this particular photos that I take that are created by having people moving through the laser plane, and I take photographs in a time exposure, and I will tell you a little bit more about that, and I will show you how I do this. And that's a little bit of a message in gratitude of the Dante Alighieri for having supported this project. Art serves as a poignant bridge, uniting the gift of creativity with the generous care of patrons, creating a timeless legacy of shared beauty. Thank you, Dante, for your support, and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Thank you for being here. So finally, here we are, the project in the Arctic. So what you're looking at here is a hologram, which is a laser plane photography that I captured during my recent Arctic expedition with the Arctic Circle organization. It is a visual tale I will unfold later in this presentation. This journey really took me out of my comfort zone, pushing me to pick up new skills to navigate the world outside my studio, which, by the way, is here. This is where I live and work. The heart of this project focuses on the harsh truth of climate change, offering a fresh perspective. I aim to spark a conversation and empathy, rising above political divides and fostering a shared responsibility for our planet. So there is this idea that space retain occupancy even after someone has departed. And this perspective suggests that human actions and emotions leave an intangible mark on the environment, evoking memories, emotions, and energies that linger even after they physically leave. It emphasizes the profound connection between individuals and their surroundings, implying that our existence has lasting impact beyond immediate moments and space we occupy. This presentation invites you to perceive space in an unconventional way, delve into what might initially seem like an absence of space, as well as exploring the spatial dimensions of light and color. This is another picture that I took in the Arctic, and in this time projecting these planes of green laser light onto the big rocks of ice that, as you can tell, they at that point glow with this otherworldly emerald green. On the back is the tall ship that I lived in during this 2 weeks of expedition. And on the background over there, behind the boat, is the Dalbrin Glacier, which I'll show you the location pretty soon. It looks blue, and it was blue. So those photographs are as real as possible. There is no manipulations in these photographs, and that's the art of my work. They're not created in Photoshop. All that I do in Photoshop is to work with exposure and contrast, brightness, but there is nothing in those photographs that actually wasn't in reality. So that's exactly the reality. So what I like to talk about is the shape of light, and how my interest in representing what seems to be invisible. So one of the projects that I love, and that the buildings that I love, and that I'm sure a lot of these people of you here in this presentation have seen in reality as well, is the Pantheon in Rome. Are there people here who have seen the Pantheon in Rome? Yeah. Okay, great. It is. Yes, I can see hand raising is awesome. Thank you. Yes, I mean it's. What can I say? Right, it is an extraordinary building for so many reasons, and I'm not going to share all of the reasons why it is so extraordinary, but I'm going to share one reason, which this image over here is indicating. This building has, by the way, I see that there is a hand up like that. Somebody wants to say something? No? Okay. Well, then if you don't want to say something, you can lower your hand. So this building was building during the time of Hadrian the emperor, and it is a perfect sphere. It's designed around a perfect sphere with a drum at the bottom, and still the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. Okay, after 2,000 years, this building still has the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. And I think I should say 3 times, but I won't. The dome has an oculus, and that's the only window that from which the air and light enters. And of course, a lot of other things enter, even birds enter from there. When it rains, falls through that opening, and so snow, rarely, but it happens. And then, of course, every day, pollution, which is the reason why we see what we're seeing right now, this beautiful shaft of light. And one of the things that I like to indicate about this natural phenomena of that allows us to see the shape of light is that not only we see this shaft of here, but we also observe something that is extraordinary. This shaft it appears to be like a cone. But in reality, excuse me, yes, a cone, exactly. But in reality, it is a cylinder. The fact that it appears to be a cone is because this building is so tall that from the very little height of humans, between the 6 feet to the very, very top of the building, lines appear to converge because of the phenomena of perspective, which is important to mention because Brunelleschi, who invented, I would say, codified the law of perspective, observed this building very well to, in fact, formulate it in mathematically and explain how it works. This, which also indicates that at the time in which 2000 years ago, when this building was built, people had observed the same things. This building also is a large sundial that indicates the position of the sun in different times of the season, allowing people to understand the seasons visually within this structure. One of the things that we have observed as well is this other phenomena, which is the arch of light. As you can see, on the 2 times of the year, the first week of September and the first week of April, during the solstices, the sun hits exactly the top of the gate, the entry to the building, in such a way that almost looks like artificial. Almost looks like a artificial spot of light that falls exactly on top of the arch. No more, no less. Of course, because it's the sun, this is a temporary phenomena that manifests for several minutes in these precise features, and then eventually it moves out, showing us also other things, that in fact something is moving. Is it the sun? It is the planet Earth. These were the questions that clearly ancient people were asking. And we know, in fact, that the Greeks had already stipulated the heliocentric movement of the Earth. So those are beautiful things that manifest light in extraordinary ways. And another extraordinary way is Terence Chang's photograph of the trail that the airplanes make when they take off and land, showing us that in fact space is not empty, and we can actually manifest some aspects of this extraordinary space. Another maybe more familiar phenomena of space that is not empty is another picture of airplanes leaving all of these trails, similar in a way, with aesthetic lines that are reminiscent of the work that I do with the laser plane. So with this idea of, with this evidence, I formulated some time ago this idea of inventing a tool to make a mark. And you can tell that those are, that I just showed you, those are all tools that have made specific marks. Okay? So in the line of this, some years ago, I invented this tool with optical engineer Ed Mannery, where a beam of light projected onto an optics reflects light in such a way 360 degrees to form a plane. And you can see here 2 planes going in 2 different directions, made manifest by virtue of smoke in the space. This was in 2004 at Jack Straw Production in Seattle. I had a show over there. And then recently at the grocery studios in Beacon Hill. So this is a large project, it's a big studio, and I projected this plane of light that you can see from the contour that there is a light, but it doesn't manifest if there is nothing that intersects it. So the following picture is actually a picture that I took of a person moving in the field of light in a time exposure and manifesting, in fact, the light in this field. So the person moves through the plane, and it is not like seeing the event frame by frame, but all at once. And so actually, let me go back and lower down the volume a little bit. And here is an example of how this works. Was it helpful? Yeah. So the plane of light, which seems to be invisible, once it traversed and the camera records it, the opening, the aperture of the camera for the full time, which can be depending on the ISO, 5 to 10 seconds, depending, and the amount of the ambient light in the space, records every single moment in which that person has passed through the plane. And those are, this is another example of actually what happens, right? It is the plane is intersected by a person traversing it that acts almost like a plane across the terrain, creating contour lines as we see in topography on the left. So the laser plane renders a rather complex topographic model, as you can see here in the video. And I'm going to skip this part, and those are 3 examples of the same subject recorded 3 different times. And every time in time exposure, we have this example over here, this example over here, and this example over here. So aesthetic of intuition intricately intertwine, creating this visually captivating experience that resonates with our instinctive understanding of the world. And this suggests that the beauty we see is closely connected to our intuitive grasp of reality, highlighting the reciprocity of physics and intuition. We see that all the time. So with this preamble, I like to introduce you, to bring you with me to this journey from here, from Seattle. Let me put this one in the correct place, right? From Seattle, right? From Seattle, yeah, all of the way to Norway and to the Svalbard, exactly 10 degrees from the North Pole. We reached the 80th degree, so literally 10 degrees from the North Pole, which is on the 90th. So these are the people that I traveled with. There were 30 artists, including scientists and writers, musicians, I say visual artists, musicians, writers, scientists, and 12 crew members. They're all there in that picture over there. And we were in this vessel called Antigua, and we spent 14 days on this boat and a few more days before and after the expedition. And I have to say that I'm still in contact with all of these people, and this was something that really moved beyond my any expectations, and it is something that has brought me to look at the world in a different way, and we are very much responsible for a lot of the changes that are occurring in this world. And I am hoping to provide an encouragement to think about ways in which to help this planet to cool down a little bit. And so here I am in hopefully inspiring everyone to get into this new trajectory. So the trip that I took was 12,000 miles from Seattle to Iceland, to Norway in Oslo, then Tromsø, and to Longyearbyen, and then back. These are the two maps of the globe, representing on the left Antarctica and on the right the Arctic. And this little circle over here indicates where I was. This is actually a very positively looking North Pole. All this white over here is the mass of ice, which was there a couple of years ago. This mass of ice regularly reduces itself. I have taken this picture from NASA, and you can actually see here there is a link to it, and it shows the degrees in which this mass of ice keeps shrinking. There's a nice little thing about the history of Antarctica. The ancient Greeks speculated that a mass of earth and ice was required in the southern part of the globe in order for the earth to turn. And this was called Antarcticos on the left, the counterpart of Arctos on the right. So the current activities of this actually, it's not that tiny. It's a big archipelago that the one of Svalbard is quite complex. The activity are coal mining, which the last coal mine is going to close in 2025, so a year from now. Believe it or not, when I was there on October 19, Svalbard switched from coal to diesel. So they no longer use coal to energize those small towns, which Longyearbyen is the biggest. And they went to diesel. Diesel is still a fossil fuel energy, but it is, as they said, in the right direction towards further changes. So another activity that is active over there is the seed bank, and research, fishing, education, and tourism. And you can actually see some of the pictures over here. So this is a picture that I took of the coal mine, because I went there and I saw it. It was, I've always been a little bit scared of coal mines. And when I went there, the fear was didn't dissipate. Those people crawl in the spaces that are not as taller as this gap between my hands, and it is a real dangerous place to work. So this is the seed bank. This is an extraordinary structure that functions to collect all of the seeds in the world and store them because the soil of Svalbard has permafrost. So all of these seeds remain frozen for the duration until somebody comes and picks them to replant them where they are needed. And apparently, in one of the recent wars in Syria, some of these seeds had been used. Um, it is a place for research. This is in Ny-Alesund. It's an important milestone for the Norwegian Mapping Authority's Geodesic Observatory. There is, of course, fishing. Fishing is also a very dramatic story about Svalbard because during the life of the Arctic, all of these countries that surround this area, which of course Norway, Canada, Greenland, the United States, Russia's, they all have been using the natural resources, and some of the animals over there are now extinct, don't exist anymore. So we have to think about our actions and how they affect the environment. Education, there is a university over there. Oceanography is their subject. And then, of course, there are two major museums. One is the Museum of the North Pole, and the other one is the Museum of the Expedition to the North Pole. Both of them are rich of important material to understand the complexity of that environment. And then, of course, tourism. I think now than ever, this place is the target for a lot of tourism. And you can say that mine was an aspect of it, although with a strong research component. That picture is a picture that I took of a fossil. One of the questions that, of course, we should all ask ourselves is, how is it possible that in a place where there are no trees whatsoever, there is coal? Coal, after all, is the production of the pressure of trees over millennia. And with what it says that millions of years ago, this part of the world, Svalbard, the archipelago Svalbard, was actually found where today is Spain. So the tectonics of the world have gradually shifted and moved to bring this part of the world over here in the north, so close to the North Pole. And the quality of this coal is actually quite good, which is one of the reasons why it has been harvested for so long. And until, again, 2025, there will be no more extractions of coal in Svalbard. And so you can say that this place is a paradox. On one side, you have this incredibly beautiful environment, and on the other side, the artificial world that is being created by us. So even though the region looks pristine and uncontaminated, when you factor in climate change and human-caused pollution, for example, high levels of polychlorinated biphenyls in the water that affect not only fish and animals, but can make their way into humans through the food chain, we realize there is a stark contrast between what appears to be pristine and what actually is. So this is a beautiful image of this naturally sculpted icebergs. And on the other side is the airport, right? So there is this contrast between the two. And here is a picture of the entire archipelago called Svalbard. And this is a Longyearbyen. And those in yellow are a few of the stops. We took many more stops, but I decided to pick up a few locations to show you images of. And we started here with the first dot where if you see my cursor, or that, and then further in this fashion like this, and then back, and then finally to place over here, which I will not show you much because that requires an entire lecture. I'll tell you more later, which is called Ny-Ålesund, and then back all the way to Longyearbyen. So the first picture that I like to show you is actually a little video, and there it is. So the sound that you heard, that was the sound of the wind. We had a day like that. Was like a -9 Celsius. So was fairly cold. That was you can see the boat. We would take 2 landings every day, in the morning and then after lunch in the afternoon. And this was during the morning. Everyone, we jumped onto we had 3 Zodiacs, these inflatables that would bring us around. And sometimes we would actually land on areas that we could work on. And other times we would just float on with this Zodiacs to explore the areas. The glacier over here that you're looking at was actually calving. So you could hear at least maybe 3 times in an hour this thundering sound that the ice makes when breaks off from the wall of the glacier. And depending on the size of the pieces of ice falling, the sound would be stronger or lighter, but very intimidating, I would say. Here are my first experimentations with the laser, projected onto this beautiful powdery snow. And this is the one of the first glaciers that we saw. Those are arches that form naturally, and those are also extremely dangerous. I have a camera that allows me to zoom very close, but we are far away from being close to this arch. They are often created by pockets of air under the ice formation, and then of course when with the warmer temperature, the ice melts, and these pockets of air reveal the shapes of these beautiful arches. So this is Tempelfjorden. This was a -5 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 31 degrees Fahrenheit. It was most overcast, some clear sky, wind variable changing to north, force 2 increasing to 4 in the late afternoon, calm sea, protected fjord. So that was very, very important. We would actually sail at night and stop in the morning so that we could take advantage of the location, which all the time was in a protected area. Those are some of the icebergs that we photographed. This almost looks like the head of a serpent. If you look at the way in which the ice looks like a hammered to create all of these scales, so like the skin of a serpent. And this is a beautiful glacier. It's called Trigamna Fjord, and absolutely extensive, very, very large. And this is where I was able to start taking some photographs with the laser, which was rare because we were we were being every day escorted by 4 guides wearing a rifle to make sure that if a bear was seen, they would be scared off. And so this was my first opportunity to work with the laser because of this gap in this glacier where you start seeing there is snow at the bottom and ice at the top. So in fact, you can see that it is ice because you can see my reflection over here. And this is a photo that my colleague Rich Pell took while I was setting up the camera as well. And this is the laser that I put inside this. This looks like a cave. It was a cave. And this is all of these artifacts that you see are the effect of the laser being reflected from this shiny reflective surface of the glacier. This is on the October 14th, another area. Here, I want to show you something. Those are footprints of polar bears. Over here, over here, over here. So we will see footprints of polar bears everywhere, but no polar bears to be seen. That says a lot about that, what polar bears do. Polar bears can absolutely smell us far, far away. They can hear us, and of course, they can see us. Over centuries, polar bears have actually learned to stay away from humans because they have learned that humans can kill them. And they have learned in the direct way by, in fact, being almost extinct. In 1973, the Norwegian government has established a protection law that prevents people from arbitrarily killing polar bears. So finally, since then, the population of bears is increasing. There are, in fact, more polar bears in Longyearbyen than there are people. There are 3,000 polar bears against 2,700 humans living in the area. The area has never been a place for people to live in, so there are no natives. And so the people that live over there is us, people that come to see the place or people who decide to live in Longyearbyen, which is the only really livable town that provides a an artificial ecosystem that allows humans to live there. But the fact that literally we were not able to see a polar bear is really symptomatic of the way in which nature is responding to humans. And unfortunately, on one side, we are seeing a repopulations of the polar bears, but on the other side, because of the melting ice, polar bears are in dangers of existing because without the ice, they don't have an opportunity to actually do what they do for a living, which is to catch seals. And so I just received an email today with a video done by some scientists where they put a camera around the neck of polar bears and they learn to learn how polar bears live. And they are now more and more living on land without ice, which causes them to eat things that they don't generally eat, which is plants, birds. And so the life of these animals is truly changing. So this is something that if the life of animals changes, our lives inevitably changes too, because we're all connected. Some of the pictures that I have taken is also on the shape of ice. There are so many different shapes of ice. Snow over there that it's extraordinary. And this is again some pictures of ice with green laser reflected from them. Beautiful aurora borealis. Those are images from my colleagues Cedric on the left and in the center. And this is a picture taken by Ada Cruz while I projected a plane of light while there was a bonfire on and the person moving through the laser plane. We visited this research station, which is located in Knievka in the Murchison Fjord. It is one of the 10 buildings of the research station, which was built during the International Geophysical year in 1957 and 1959, which is now abandoned. And this used to be a sauna. So this is a picture that the Daniela Naomi Monar took of me while I was taking a photograph of my colleagues inside the sauna, which I'm going to show you. And just to show you how challenging was to take photographs. And the cold is a reality over there. And while I was absolutely well dressed for the occasion, the moment in which I had to take off the gloves, that was when I was suffering, because that's when the hands starts having a reaction to the low temperature. And this was the only place where I could put the tripod. There was a hole over here. And so this is the picture that I took of my two colleagues sitting on the benches of the sauna, slightly moving through the laser plane. So what you're looking at over there is these two people. There's a plane of light that becomes manifest when people move through it. And then again, this is a picture that I have shown before. And this is my colleague, Casey Boyle. And I like the way in which one of my friends that saw this picture used the word in Italian, is l'immagine sembra incastonata sulla montagna. And for those of you who speak Italian, probably you got it. You certainly got it. in translated in English is it looks like an image that is set into the mountain. Okay, it's like a incastonata. It's like a incastonata. The word I think incastonata in English, one is set in, but maybe you guys know a better word for that, or embedded in the in these walls of the mountain. Yeah, that's the same person moving through the plane, being revealed, in this green light. And I like to get to the end of this talking a little bit about art as a process. So in the realm of knowledge, consider this. Art is a process. It is curiosity, that thing that triggers instinct and propels us with imagination. Just thinking about it, you get the heart racing in a good way, like I'm gearing up to dance through the challenges that life throws my way. It is trial and error, no much different from science. The intersection of art and technology is a fascinating space where the two words merge. The generative impact of art dives into exploration, opening doors to collaboration. And one collaboration that I like to just touch upon, and literally this requires an entire talk on its own, is this between Norway and Italy in 1926. The very, very, very first time when successfully some people, Norwegians, Americans, and Italians, managed to fly over the North Pole. And with a telegraph being able to actually deliver the coordinations. The balloon that actually made it is the one over here called Norge for Norway. This balloon was built in Rome, Italy, at the time of World War II, was flown from Rome all the way to Ny-Ålesund in this town over here, which we went there. And this was the hangar that housed this balloon. The balloon ultimately didn't stop, kept moving, and it crashed in Alaska. The expedition was considered to be successful because it literally flew over the North Pole. So it literally did that and crashed over Alaska. The people in Alaska brought all of these people back to Norway. They celebrated. The Italians were not very happy about the proper degree of acknowledgement of the Italian participation into this successful expedition. So at that time, Mussolini ordered the same person that designed and built the original successful airspace to build another one. And you are seeing it below here. It's called the Italia. This balloon, guided by Umberto Nobile, the engineer that designed both balloons and flew both balloons, took off from this town over here, Ny-Ålesund, and actually made it through the North Pole. At the time in which the general decided to turn around and descend, the balloon actually lost air and crashed badly on the ice, causing the death of 6 of the crew members, and 4 members, including Umberto Nobile, were able to survive for 49 days in those incredibly harsh Arctic conditions, until finally a rescue boat from Russia managed to actually save them. It is considered to be one of the rescue expedition, the largest ever, for 4 people. They managed to put together so many humans coming from all over the place, America, Norway, France, England, you name it. And but they finally managed to rescue those 4 survivals, and the story remains epical. I want to show you this incredible picture of which is not a photograph; it's a rendering of this air balloon. The actually Norge, the one that succeeded. And look at how incredible. There are these polar bears that are looking at this incredible thing that they had never seen before, right? And it says so many things. This achievement sparks reflections on the deep repercussions innovations imposes upon nature's fragile ecosystem. And that's something that I want to think about. This is us in the North Pole, and an experience that I will never forget. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share this.
Wow, thank you so much. What a great presentation, Iole.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Does anybody have questions?
Feel free to mic up and just ask if you have anything you want to ask. It sounds as though you maybe have 2 or 3 other talks in the back of your mind you could give us at a future date as well.
Yes, definitely. I'm happy to. I'm absolutely happy. Let me know when that's going to happen. Maybe,
We'll come after you, don't worry. Anyone have questions for Iole? Nico.
So, Iole, how do you get a plane when a laser is simply a
Right.
very narrow beam of light? How do you make that transmit into a plane?
Yes. So the optic itself is actually a cone. So the beam hits the cone, and by virtue of physics, the angle of projection equals the angle of reflections.
Yeah.
The cone is a 45-degree angle. You have each of the rays of the beam spread 360 degrees.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's a good question.
I have a question. So you said the ice was falling off the glacier 3 times a day. Is that a seasonal thing or a sign of climate change?
Oh no, it's a sign of climate change. We were on the boat. I should have included some pictures of the boat itself. We had a library. Oh, by the way, one of the things that I didn't share with you is that in the 14 days that we were on the boat, there was no Wi-Fi. We were off the grid 14 days. And I had to tell you, it has been the best 14 days of my life. When we went back, we could tell that the telephone had recession. I personally did not look at my emails for the following 3 days. I just didn't want to have anything to do with reconnecting. And so I said that because we could not study anything on the spot. In fact, we were completely out of the clue with the war in the Middle East. We learned about that when we arrived. So it was again, these things really are shocking. These trips are important because of kind of resetting your mind in so many ways. And so, but we had books on the boat, and I had the opportunity to study them a little bit. And I have photographs that I took from these books. And then, of course, now with the internet, I can confirm that the areas that we saw look completely different in the last 20 years. We now have areas where we can navigate because there is water. And 20 years ago, there was complete ice. So therefore, we could not navigate because you, in fact, can walk on ice. And so that territory is completely different every year. Every year is different. And then, of course, when you compare it 10 years before, 20 years before, 30 years before, you are really looking at a different land. So yes, the calving is, those glaciers are receding for kilometers.
Wow. Yeah. Must have been amazing to hear them like fall like in real time. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's alarming to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Iole, another quick question. You said there were 30 people, I think 14 crew, 44 people. That boat doesn't look very big. What were the sleeping accommodations like?
Well, okay, so this is a funny story. It does look small, but actually it wasn't. It's not small at all. Everyone was sharing a cabin with two beds, and they were either next to each other like this or on a bunk. The funny story is that I don't know why I was the only one of everyone who actually had a cabin all by myself. So I had a bunk. So I had all of my stuff up above on the bunk, and that was a luxury because I mean they were generous places, but it's nice to have a cabin all for yourself. I had my bathroom, my two beds that I can make use of. And so I had to say, I think I missed out on socializing with a companion, right? A trip companion, because that's what happened with the other people. They were sharing a bed, therefore they had an opportunity to spend more time together. So I didn't have that, but I did definitely share time with the rest of the people, including the crews. We had an amazing chef. We the chef would make breakfast, lunch, some snack in the afternoon, and dinner every day. And we were eating all sort of delicious things. Italian food, Asian food, American food, Middle Eastern food. Every kind of food was available. I mean, the entire bottom of the boat floating on ice was a refrigerator, so you could totally put all sort of things. We were sailing on ice. This was not an icebreaker at all, but we were definitely floating on ice. So.
Well, your weather looked like it was clear. Did you have any storms?
No. I mean, we were so lucky with the weather. There was maybe some drizzling sometimes of some rain, but no. The good thing is that it had snowed before, so everything has this appearance of a fairy tale landscape, white, blue, all sort of shades of blue, and yeah. We were very lucky.
Well, thank you so much. This is This has been wonderful. What a,
Oh,
what a
just
treat.
fabulous. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. What an interesting presentation. Really, really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Add my thanks too.
Yes, I am very happy. I will have a show of these photographs, and I will print a few and make them available for sale. So I will be happy to inform you about the show that is going to be later in the year.
Yes.
And it would be great to actually meet you in person and talk about more about this project with some really beautiful photographs.
And send us the information about your March event at Casa Italiana. We'll get the word out about that so people can come down and participate in the raffle.
Yes.
And for everybody who's here at the meeting tonight, 2 weeks from tonight, we have our Italian presentation. Watch the announcement for that in a week or so to sign up for that Zoom. And yeah, it's been a great evening. Thank you so much, Iole, and thanks, Joan, for putting this together for us.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Valentine's Day, everybody.
Thank you, Iole.